So now let's flesh this out a bit, what this concretely means. I would like to ask on stage Rebeca all together. Rebeca Grynspan, Director General of UNCTAD. Bill Egbe, Managing Partner of Vibranum Capital. Yusuf Leblebici, President of Sabancı University. And Camelia Ilie, Dean of INCAE. So the ones that looked at the coalition chart at the end, well, they spotted all these institutions on this chart. Of course, we would not invite speakers who are not part of our coalition already. We have 2 representatives from the demand side. The way we organize it, we think about, because you think about training and capacity building, there must be a demand and there must be an offer. And this needs to speak to each other. So we would start with the demand side first. And I would like to ask you, Rebeca, as the Director General of an important, big international organization here in Geneva, thinking about the future of trade and development in the frame of the Pact of the Future that is putting science and technology, very importantly, we heard it yesterday from Ayako Suzuki, I think she said 55 times in the Pact of the Future, you read science and technology and emerging science and technology. So what, for you, Rebeca, as a Director General of an international organization, what is the need you have to have people, staff, executive, trained with an anticipatory mind frame, trained with being scientifically literate? Could you elaborate on that, please?
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be here and with this wonderful panel and with such a good friend as Enrico. So thank you for the invitation. Let me first explain to you what is the situation we are in. You know, I just hired the first person that knows something about AI in my organization.
Bravo.
So, you know, it's important to understand the enormous effort that we have to do to really come to today, to be able to face the challenges of today as an organization, yes? And imagine, with respect to the anticipatory, you know, effort that we have to do. But the other part is that is also essential, because at the end, we are going to, in our case, 195 countries where we give advice, we give them tools to face their challenges of today, and we need to be aware of what is coming for those tools that we are designing or bringing to these countries today to be able to adapt to the new world. So the change and the transformation that we need in our management, in our understanding, is huge. And so I really welcome this opportunity of and what GESDA is doing, because it's essential for us to be fit for purpose. My second point is that in the Pact of the Future, as you mentioned, there is a provision for the Secretary General to be able to have an AI advisory board or scientific board. The first attempt already has a result. There is a document and a report that was issued for the Pact of the Future from the first advisory board. But now it's a decision of the whole membership. This is very important because we cannot think about the standards or the rules of the future if we don't understand what we are regulating. We will make a lot of mistakes, yes? And so the idea is that the people that know come to the international community so they can advise the international community. The science can be upfront in whatever we will do. And the model here is the IPCC. Yes, when we started with climate change, where were the science? Where was the science for climate change? Was in the academic world and in the industry. And now it's happening the same. Where is the science or the understanding of what is happening? Is in the academic world and is in the industry. And what we need is to bring those minds to really be able to advise all of us of how to do the things better. But the second part, that is what you were talking about, and also you, is that we need to understand what to ask. For the moment, we don't. We don't even understand what is it that we... I am very blunt here, I didn't know what was the kind of CV I needed to look at, or capabilities I needed to look at to understand who to hire. So if you are able to bridge, to make that bridge of us not being a scientist, because we are not, but we understanding what is it that we need to have in place to be more helpful to the countries that we serve, it will be a huge leap forward. So I would like all my management team and myself to be able to acquire or to participate in what you are doing, in the courses and in the educational effort that will be done, so we can be better, in what we do.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. So we will make sure that we reserve some slots in one of these 5 weeks that you can assign your management team to participate. No, I think it's so crucial that we look at the demand, because if there is no demand, you can put out trainings as you want. If there is not also an element to be recognized, if you go through such a training that you get a good employment, or that you are recognized for the next level of achievement, I think this is crucial, and we will learn about that in the course of implementing this initiative. We heard a lot about science and diplomacy, but we also heard on Wednesday from Subra Suresh on the opening panel that the investments in research and development 10 years ago were at pair from the public side and the private side. Today, the private side is 3 times higher than the public side. So this means the private sector, the industry, they play an immense role in understanding this anticipatory leadership, in understanding where science goes. So Bill, could you, as an investor today, formerly a very senior executive in many big corporations, lastly in the Coca-Cola group, could you elaborate why you think that this approach of developing and building up anticipatory leadership is also of relevance for the private sector, and how it could be contributed from that perspective?
Yeah, no, thanks a lot, Sandra, and thanks for having me on the panel. And I would say, I guess there are 2 aspects. If we understand why this creates value for the private sector, we address the demand issue. And I think there are 2 buckets in which one can think of how this creates value for the private sector. One is around what I would say the selfish, parochial stuff, which is all around building competitiveness. As Rebecca was saying, it is very important for you to be able to read the landscape to figure out what skills you need to have to navigate that landscape. And that's part of the work that GESDA does. And when you think about building competitiveness, there are 3 key areas. Yesterday, we remember, during the Harnessing Quantum panel, Murad Beji talked to us about private sector not being afraid of impact, because it helps them unlock growth. So the one key area around that drives demand for these kinds of leadership skills, around the fact that this is a huge, huge tool to really anticipate where there are growth opportunities and being able to tap into those and unlock your ability to chart the course that will allow you to access those opportunities. And companies do see that and would react to that. Having leaders who can read what the future looks like, anticipate what is required to get there, and be able to build the skills and capacity to get there is very important. Another aspect of it is around companies would anticipate the fact that they need to mitigate risk of being disrupted. We know as there's acceleration in new technologies being able to challenge how, I would say, old industries operate. The incumbents are very aware that the risk of disruption is quite accelerated these days. And it's coming from small companies that move faster, take more risk, and are not afraid to try new solutions. The ability to be able to see what is happening in this space, where people are moving faster than big companies can move, helps the big companies figure out how do we anticipate the challenges that will come from the wings of the industry. And the third aspect for me is about the fact that companies always understand that they have to build resilience as they face a world that is uncertain and changing. And for you to build resilience, you need to be able to flex. For you to flex, you need to know what is coming your way. And being able to read, and that's why it's like flying a plane. Radar tells you where there are obstacles. And companies need that to be sure that they're building the muscle to be able to flex and adjust their approach, their trajectory very rapidly. So this is all around the area of building competitiveness. There's an entire other bucket, which I think is even more important, is the bucket around building belonging. Because the first part is really selfish to the companies. They're building their muscle to be able to run faster. But where we have the most leverage with the private sector is around helping them build the soul and the culture of the company. That says, we understand we have many stakeholders. Shareholders and our owners are maybe top of that list, but that's not the only stakeholder you have to worry about. There's a whole bunch of other stakeholders whom you have to take care of for you to have sustainability in your business. And what we're doing here helps them reinforce and renew their social license. In many industries, you have to earn the right to serve the customers you have. And I think the work that we're doing here is going to help people to be able to better read how we plug into the greater community and serve our customers, our employees, the communities where we do business, where we sell into, much better. I think that's where the demand is going to come from, because the leaders of the future would need to understand this more appropriately.
Great. Thank you very much, Bill. So this is really, in my view, a critical, very new dimension of this approach we take, because from the onset, we try to build in this perspective. Thank you very much, Bill, for underlying that. So we switch to the offer side, because somebody needs to offer something for the demand that is out there and that we hear that could be captured and channeled. Yusuf, you are a president of a very innovative university in Istanbul, the Sabancı University, a private university that tries to rethink a lot of elements in research and education. Where do you think that the rethink is most needed in such an approach of trying to train a multi-sectorial approach to anticipatory leadership?
Thank you very much, Sandro. We, as Sabancı University, we are one of the leading research universities in a country with a relatively young population of 85 million people. And as we are actively involved in developing some of the key technologies, such as cybersecurity, such as machine intelligence, such as nanotechnologies, we feel that it is also incumbent upon us to educate the general public and also the future leaders about the implications of the technologies that we are developing. One important aspect of these technologies, it's a common denominator even. All these new technologies that we are talking about, they have a common denominator, and that is the speed of progress. The speed of progress in all these technologies is what we call, in technical terms, exponential. That means the complexity, the numbers grow exponentially, which means it doubles every 2 years, it doubles every 3 years, and very similar to this age-old Indian tale where you put grains of rice on a chessboard. The numbers grow very, very fast. And we feel, looking from the technology side, we are already on the second half of the chessboard. And that means numbers are already becoming overwhelming for human capacity to grasp and to manage. So it is our duty as universities to address this and to provide the tools and the means to educate people in what the implications are with these newly developing technologies. I can identify three important aspects that's very broad, very general, but also important. One is interdisciplinarity. We have to address all of these issues with a multidisciplinary perspective. We can be experts in our own field, but we also have to be aware and we have to be talking to the other side, be it social sciences, be it business, and we have to take a very broad approach, and that is relatively difficult in traditional universities, especially where we have departmental boundaries. As Sabancı University, we are lucky to have no departments, and we have only 3 faculties and with no departments, and that means everybody in each faculty can talk with their colleagues and across the board, and that opens up the environment for sharing ideas and looking from different perspectives. That's one. Number 2 is international approach. So international presence and international awareness. And that comes also with cultural awareness. I'm not talking only about being aware of different cultural viewpoints, but also utilizing the relative advantages of these different cultural viewpoints in addressing the issues that the technological progress brings. And that international aspect is very, very important. And the third one is to have very close links with the world outside of academia, which means the business world, the industry, the public sphere. And that is also something that the universities need to develop in general to be able to address these issues more forcefully so that we can have more impact in addressing, in educating the general public. So it is our duty as universities not only educating what we call the priest class, the handful, very few rare individuals who actually know the nuts and bolts of a particular technology. Not only that, yes, we have to do it, but also we also have to pass this knowledge to the general public and to future leaders. So this is what we are trying to do in this program.
Thank you very much, Yusuf. If we would have need to be convinced, which we don't need, you would have convinced us now that you're exactly the right host partner of this initiative. So we're very happy to have Sabancı University on board. So let's turn to there's another element of the demand side, of the offer side. Camelia, you're leading in CAI, a university that is training leaders across public and private sectors, across Latin America. Where do you see, is there a field, is there a space for such an initiative, or is it already covered? Is there a business model for such an approach? Or does it always need to be sustained by a grant that will not be long-term sustainable? What is your thinking on that?
Yeah, thank you, Sandro, and thank you for having us. Well, as been said this week, global challenges are increasingly complex. So we need to change the governance, the leadership, and the decision-making processes to solve them. As problems are interrelated, the solution cannot be done in silos. This is clear. So on the contrary, I would say we need to increase the coordination and collaboration between public institutions, private organizations, academia, and the civil society. Also, the solution should be inclusive to avoid bias, and also, as has been mentioned, multi-stakeholders oriented. So we need to change the leadership development programs to train leaders with a learner mindset, not an expert mindset, driven by curiosity, and with the capacity to integrate scientific advances, technological tools, and data analysis to make decisions. Also, they need, as been mentioned these days, to create platforms to accelerate the collaboration between humans and artificial intelligence to design better and quicker solutions. And to do this, the government's models also have to refocus, oriented more toward predictions, toward prospection, instead of past-based analysis, as we merely do right now in a lot of the governance parts of organizations. And they also have to do all this, and we have to support them to develop a leadership style driven by purpose and with shared values, because it's the only way to reach a more sustainable world and to help us, not only live longer, but also with more meaningful lives. So this is the business case, I think, here, and what we aim to achieve with the Global Curriculum for Anticipatory Leadership, and under Enrico's leadership, GESDA support, and with all these wonderful partners all over the world, it's our dream to reach it together. So thank you for having us. Thank
you very much, Camelia. I think this gives a round view on it. And you spoke about the dreams. And Enrico, knowing you, 2555 is a good starting point, but I think you have a vision for a longer-term development. Could you, maybe to close this panel, share your thoughts where this could lead us to, what your vision of success would look like for such an initiative?
I think we started with this fantastic example that Rebeca shared with us. And I think what you said, Rebeca, is exactly what is the experience daily, everywhere in the world. We are accelerating, the change is accelerated. It's very complicated to be at the level of these expectations. And I have to say that, as our chairman last Wednesday told us, GESDA is here for a very ambitious mission. And we have to be ambitious. So I'm very sorry if I higher the bar now. But in the university world, in the higher education world, there was something that happened some decades ago that changed everything. It was named by a great city from my country, the oldest university, Bologna. And the Bologna process, as you all know, was a game changer, is a game changer. So our dream is to say that today we are in front of big changes. And as we heard today, the need to change and to adapt the offer to all these big revolutions is there. So why don't we dream in the next 3 years to build up the Geneva process, with the idea to have, through this Geneva process, the possibility to change the world, to change mindsets, and to create around Geneva, with the work of GESDA, the possibility to give the world another possibility, another opportunity to be better through all these changes. I know it's very ambitious, but we will start with, I think, the right momentum, first of all, because we see the momentum is there, and I think the right ambition and the right attitude. So one day, I think we will have in mind that October 11 will be a starting moment of something that maybe will change the world for the better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Enrico.